it was actually pretty funny, and I kind of laughed on the inside. I could tell by his response and facial expression that that trick must work on a lot of people. Even if you are not in the market for a car right now, you need to watch this video. Buying a used car is probably one of the most annoying processes in the whole world. On top of spending all of that time just trying to find a car that you actually like, you're also trying to make sure that that car dealership that you're working with isn't doing anything shady and ripping you off. I just bought a used car and went to many different dealerships and spent weeks and weeks looking for that perfect car that was right for me. During that process, I noticed quite a few things that I think is going to help you. So in this video, I'm going to give you my 7 best tips when it comes to buying a used car from a dealer so that you can hopefully save yourself some time, some money, and lower your risk of being screwed over. Make sure you stick around because I have some rapid fire tips towards the end of the video. Hey, I'm Jarrad, and on this channel, we like to talk about all things personal finance and investing. I greatly appreciate it if you hawk smashed that thumbs up button because our time together, yours and mine, is like a nap. It just doesn't last long enough. The first thing that I want you to constantly remind yourself of throughout the whole process is the fact that there are always more cars out there. You should never fall in love with a car at first sight, just like you should never fall in love with a home at first sight, or even a person for that matter. When you let yourself get attached to a car, you start looking past all of the red flags that actually exist. You have to be willing to walk out of that door if the dealerships aren't willing to work with you. While in the process of buying my car, I found one that I actually really liked. It was everything that I needed and then some. So I kind of drove it around on a Monday and said that I would buy it, but I first had to wait until my money got transferred from my online savings account into my checking account at my local bank. And thank goodness I was forced to wait. When I got home that night, I did a deeper dive into the car and kind of the fair prices for that car. And the price that they were asking was a little bit more than I should have been paying. I went back in that Thursday, and before I wrote them a check, I said that they needed to lower that price just a little bit more before I actually bought the car. The sales guy's desk manager was not willing to do that for me, so I told them that I wouldn't buy the car, and I walked out. I reminded myself that there are millions of cars out there and that I'll find one just like it, if not better. And of course, I actually did. I don't care what position you're in, how bad you need a car, do not be afraid to walk away from a deal or impulse buy. If a salesperson gives you the whole, "This is such a good deal that this car probably won't be here tomorrow," just say, "Okay, dude, whatever." That is a BS comment, and that salesperson knows it. The fear of missing out could cost you thousands of dollars and a ton of unneeded financial stress if you end up buying that car and regretting it in the future. Do me a favor and leave a comment down below letting me know any car buying tips that you have for the rest of us. The next thing that you need to know when buying a used car at a dealership is the price structure of that particular dealership. There are 2 types of dealerships. The first are the ones who have the lowest prices listed on the car. Look the car up on Kelley Blue Book, Edmunds.com, and TrueCar.com to get an idea if the price that they have listed is an actual fair price. I found that the numbers are already pretty fair for dealerships who say that the list price is the lowest price. Even though that's what they say, keep in mind that it doesn't hurt to try to negotiate lower if you physically see the car and it seems like it should be a little bit cheaper. Don't be afraid to ask. The second kind of dealership is the one where you have to negotiate a lower price because they're automatically way too high. These people, they're funny. You can easily figure this out by running the numbers on one of those websites that I mentioned just a minute ago. These are the kinds of people in dealerships that will absolutely screw your eyes out if you are not careful. I've seen it happen to other people, and I've seen it almost happen to myself too. Another thing that I learned throughout this process that you should know is that some cars are priced higher for special finance customers. It's a way for a car dealership to help cover bank fees for people with really bad credit. If you're someone with good credit or are paying cash for a car, then this is an easy way for you to get absolutely screwed over because that price is already way too high. This exact thing almost happened to me. One of the car dealerships that I went to had the price way too high and they were not willing to budge. So I was like, okay, I'm not gonna buy the car, so I walked out. And guess what? A week later, the sales guy called me and he said, "Hey, my desk manager realized that he had that car priced way too high because he had it for that special finance pricing." And I said, "Well, sucks to suck because I'm never coming to you guys ever again, and I'm never recommending anybody ever come to you guys ever again either. Know how much you're willing to spend going into the whole process. So have a range in mind and do not budge on that range. I know this sounds so basic, so why even mention it? Well, because once you start looking at cars, the whole game changes. It is super easy to get carried away and buy one that is way higher than you originally wanted to pay. If your max price is $10,000 and the salesperson sneakily shows you a car that's $10,500 or even $11,000, then hey, what's another $500 or $1,000 between friends for a little nicer of a car, right? Of course it's going to seem enticing to buy that car that's a little bit more expensive because it's most likely a year or two newer and has a few less thousand miles. This even happened to me and I had the price range in mind. I wanted to spend between $7,000 and $10,000, but of course the sales guy showed me a car that was $11,000 and even $12,000. Even knowing everything that I know, I was seriously entertaining the thought because I have that extra cash and can easily afford a car that expensive with no problem. But that is not the point. I had to literally stop and give myself a little self-talk and remind myself that I have a budget and I'm sticking to the budget that I set for myself before going into this process. It was actually pretty funny and I kind of laughed on the inside because the sales guy was a little bit taken back when I told him that I did not need that nice of a car. I could tell by his response and facial expression that that trick must work on a lot of people. So just make sure that you are not one of those people that it works on. Something a lot of us don't think about when we buy a car is the taxes and fees for buying that car. I'll be honest, I never thought about this when I bought cars in the past because I've always taken out a loan for my previous cars before this car that I just paid cash for. Whenever I saw the taxes and fees involved, I was kind of like, whatever. Put it on my tab. But I really paid attention this time since it was the first car that I paid cash for. Those taxes and fees cost me an extra $700 for the car I just bought. Now, some of you might not be able to pay cash for a car right away, and that's fine. But even if you're taking out a loan to buy a car, you should still bake the sales taxes and fees into how much you are willing to spend on a car. Don't let that extra amount put you over the max amount of money you've agreed to spend before you go into the whole car purchasing process. If your max is $10,000, you should only be looking at cars that are $9,000 and less. Next, you should pre-buy your next car. Before you think that I'm crazy, hear me out for a second. Not everyone has the luxury of spending weeks and weeks looking for a new car. If your car breaks down and it doesn't make financial sense to pay for the repairs, then you just have to buy a car. But you can still get a head start right now. If there's one thing that we all know for sure, it's that you will need to buy a car at some point in the future. Knowing this, you should start shopping around right now. Not for the actual car that you're going to buy, but the make, the model, and the year of the car that you can actually afford to buy at this point in time. I did this whole pre-buy process for the car that I just purchased. About 2 years ago, when I finally paid off my previous car, I started looking for the types of cars that I could afford in the price range that I set for myself. I knew that I wanted to pay cash for my next car, so I started saving right then and there. As I saved more money, I started to look for cars in those particular price ranges. When I had $3,000 saved up, I knew the types of cars that I could get for that amount if my current car broke down the next day. The same thing with when I had $6,000 saved up, and the same thing with when I had $10,000 saved up, which was the max that I was willing to spend on my next car. Doing this is another way for you to be just a little bit more prepared so you are not starting from scratch when your car breaks down. The last one before I get into a few rapid fire tips: take your time. One thing I noticed about myself while I was going through the whole process was that I just kept trying to rush through everything when it came to buying my car. I'm the kind of person who is pretty good at holding it all together and not getting too far ahead of myself, so I did not expect this to happen at all. Everything that goes into buying a car is so time consuming and feels like such a waste of time. I get it. When we try to rush through things in general, we miss a whole lot. And I almost missed a lot of things too. I almost bought a car with a big old dent on the side of the door and another one that had scratches on the hood because I was being an idiot and trying to make the whole process end as quickly as possible. Luckily, I was able to kind of take a step back and realize what I was doing and told myself to slow the down. That few extra hours would be time well spent to ensure that I didn't miss an issue with that car that I had to kind of deal with for the next 10 years. I'm a big time nerd, so I actually created a checklist for myself so that I knew what to look over on the car so that it would kind of help me make sure that I wasn't getting overwhelmed. If anyone wants a copy of my checklist, then let me know in the comments down below and I'll share it with you in the description. It's rapid fire time. You ready? I'm not going to go into a whole bunch of detail with these ones, but I wanted to make sure to at least mention them in this video. Number 1, scour the internet for reviews on specific cars. Number 2, leases absolutely stink. Now there are times where it can make sense to buy one, but only if you're pretty much a multimillionaire or you're self-employed and your business owns that lease, because it's a tax write-off. Number 3, know how much this new car will cost you in insurance. Number 4, buy a car that is at least 5 years old to avoid losing a large amount of depreciation. Number 5, I don't know, I lost count. The point of a car is to get you from point A to point B. Don't pay extra for all of those bells and whistles that you do not need. You don't need those automatic closing doors or even a sunroof. And number 7, of course, Hulk smash that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so YouTube delivers these videos to your beautiful face. I'll see you in the next one, friends. Adios.